Good morning, good afternoon, good night, depending on your location. Welcome to another Xray webinar. My name is João Mendonça. I know it's, of course, as usual, a very difficult name to pronounce, and I'm the Expanded On Steam business developer. Together, once again with me, I have Sergio. Sergio Freire, how are you?
I'm fine, João.
So another release of Xray.
Yeah.
A lot of ground to cover.
Yes, many things today to go through, so I hope we have the time. And actually, I don't forget any point because there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, it's a big release, right?
Yeah,
Even though the 3.0 was a big one, but this one is also included.
It's a minor release, but you need quite a lot of features.
Yeah, we'll go over the main features, okay, of this the newest release. And of course, as you know, Xray is one of the most used test management add-ons or apps for Jira. And with this webinar, we wanted to show you, of course, the latest and the greatest features that you can find in 3.1. I hope you will enjoy it. But actually, before we dive into the tool and I pass the mic to Sergio, I wanted just to show off a bit of our main characteristics of expanded ons. So we've been making software for more than 4 years, and currently we have 5 offices in 2 different countries. We have 4 offices here in Portugal, so we are Portuguese, and 1 office in the UK. Of course, and as usual, it's very important for us, our customers, so currently we have more than 4,000 in over 65 countries. And together with support tickets and requests and feature requests, this is actually our basis, how we built our newer versions. Okay, so most of these features that Sergio will introduce today were actually asked by our customers, that were discussed with our customers, and we found them actually useful, and then we decided to introduce it. So of course, as I said, we are more than in 55 countries and more than 360,000 lines of code. So it's getting a big product, 2 big products. And I think if you don't know, at least I think you know Xray, but at least Exporter. That's why I'm also here introducing you our 2 add-ons. The one you already know, and the reason why you are here is, of course, Xray. But our other web add-on is Exporter. So Exporter is it's really tight integrated with Xray, but it's an add-on that allows you to export your Jira information into templates. So of course, you are able to export your Xray information, so your test results or your test information, but I'll actually use it in any other aspect in Jira. And of course, this is a quite useful tool, especially if you want to, I don't know, end a report to some management or to some client that doesn't have access to Jira. So it's quite useful tool as well. And I invite you also to check out our latest webinar with the export and our latest recording, just for you to see how this add-on works as well. So, but regarding Xray and regarding these 2 add-ons, of course, as I mentioned, our clients are very important. These are just some list of our main customers here. And before I actually pass the mic to Sergio, I actually want just to talk about 2 things. So first, we are recording the session, okay? So it's very important for you to know that even though any of your colleagues couldn't join today, you will get an email with the recording, okay? So then you can share it internally. All your colleagues will know about these latest features. And of course, in the end, we'll also have time for some questions. So we'll invite you to write your questions in this GoToWebinar section there. And in the end, we will go over them and we will try to answer as much as we can. If we are not able to cover all of them during this session, because we just have 1 hour, we will for sure reply via email, okay? You'll get an email with your answers, also with the questions and the recorded session, okay? So no worries about not getting your question answered. That's why we are here, and that's why we want to show you the latest features. So I think it will be something interesting also for you and to start using starting from today. I know. I think it will be a good decision. So Sergio, please, let's go check out the webinar and the latest features. Let's go.
Thank you, João. So today I'll be talking a bit about Xray 3.1. So we did many things, in fact. So this minor release, as I said earlier, is although it's a minor release, it has quite a lot of features. And we focus, our main focus for this release was on performance improvements, and I will talk a bit about it later on. But besides making performance improvements, we also address usability aspects. We'll see together some of the areas of Xray that were improved in that sense. We also improved the execution aspect, so both for in terms of test executions and also in terms of test runs. And talking about test runs, one thing that was long demanded was the ability to get email notifications for test run related events, and you will see how we address this by using the concepts that Jira already have for making email notifications. So another feature that was also long demanded was the ability to deal with TestNG test results, and that is great because many teams use TestNG instead of using JUnit. I will also be talking a bit about the improvements that we made related with hierarchy, both in the test repository and also related with the test plan board. And then I will be going into explaining a new Cucumber workflow that we now support that allows you to edit your features outside of Jira, so you can then sync them to Jira and have the test entities updated in Jira. Finally, I will highlight the endpoints that were introduced with Xray 3.1, and there are other goodies, right, Ron?
I like those goodies, yes.
Everyone likes goodies.
Yes.
Okay, so talking a bit about numbers, 3.1 addresses about 41 user stories, so that's quite a lot, in fact, for a minor release. But besides addressing new features, we also address some bugs, and we had some bugs that, although they were minor bugs, they were living, they were already in our backlog for some time, so we addressed them in this release. You can check out all about the release notes, and that includes the features and the bugs that were fixed in this version in this link that you can see here, and that João will then share with you afterwards. Okay, first topic, performance. In Xray 3.1, we invested some time on performance improvements. We have customers worldwide using Xray in very distinct and yet high demanding scenarios. How we address it? Well, we made improvements to the back end and also to the front end, and we also make sure that you would not make messy settings in some of the gadgets that we provide. And we also warn the user whenever the amount of information that is considerably high, which could impact the backend and also the front end, putting heavy load in the browser. And we also made some requests in parallel in order to obtain the relevant information for the reports or for the gadgets. As you can see, we made improvements in several of the more heavy built-in reports and also on the most expensive gadgets. We also took some preventive measures such as avoiding unspecified filters for test executions or requirements in some of the gadgets. So have in mind that improving performance is an ongoing effort. It never ends, in fact. So expect additional enhancements to come in future versions. Okay, let's talk a bit about usability, and this also covers a bit about navigability to go to the information that may be relevant to you. So sometimes you are looking at some information, for example, at the test executions or at the test plans, and you are looking at the overall progress bar. And for example, you may want to get the test issues that are currently in some status. Well, now you can actually click on the numbers that you see on those progress bars. And also, it makes all sense to provide links to the metrics that we show in some of the reports. So, for example, in the test executions or in the test plans report, or you see some counters related with the amount of tests or with the amount of test executions, and now you can actually click on them to be redirected to the proper issues. But we also provide links also to the execution, to the test run. So, for example, in the traceability and in the test runs report, and also in the test runs list gadget, where you can see the information about test runs. Previously, you were unable to jump into the execution screen where you could see the details, and now you can easily go into the actual details by clicking in a link that we provide in those specific reports or in those specific gadgets. So I think the best would be to have a look at it. So let's see it in practice. So I'm looking here at the test plan, and as I said, you see this overall execution status bar, and now these numbers are linked. So for example, if I want to jump into the issue search screen for obtaining the tests that are related with this specific status, I can easily click on the number. And the same applies also to test executions. So let's pick here a test execution. And for example, you can see these tests that I have 4 passing. I can easily click on the number and obtain these tests. So if I want to do some operations with them afterwards, I can easily do them. And I was talking also about the reports. So let's jump into the reports. And well, here actually you are looking something that I will be talking a bit about afterwards, which is a error key information. But you can see something already in this report, which is the below the test execution in the test runs column. You can actually jump into the details of this test run by clicking in this view details link. And for the other reports, as I mentioned, for example, for the test plans and for the test executions, here you got some metrics. Well, for example, if you want to jump into the tests that are in this specific status, you can actually click on it. Okay. This seems to be simple things, but it makes all sense that sometimes you may want to do some reports based on the metrics that you are looking in these screens. And let me show you another report that I think is quite interesting. So you guys know this overall requirement coverage report. You can actually see the status of your requirements, and then you can actually drill down by clicking in each one of the bars that is shown in the chart. And here you can evaluate the completeness of each requirement, and then you can see the test cases that are passing or failing. And now you can also jump into the issue search screen with those specific tests being filtered out. Okay. And well, for the gadgets, for example, if you are using the test run list gadget, that allowed you to list the test runs that may be relevant to you, you can also see that we also provide links. So you can also jump into the actual execution page where you can see the details or even execute the test if you want. Okay, great. So many simple things, but that I think will be quite useful to you. Okay, let's talk a bit about the improvements that we made at the execution level. Well, one thing that is quite nice now, I think there is that we have some customers that have test cases with many steps in them. So we now provide a column named steps progress that you can include in the listing of the test runs that will show you a percentage of the amount of steps that were in a final status. So the amount of steps that you completed. And this may be quite relevant because sometimes you may have test execution with many runs in it, and you want to quickly evaluate the completeness of each individual run. So that's one aspect. But, well, one thing that we also covered here, and it was something that we were missing in the previous versions of Xray, was the bulk selection, how it worked in the test executions. So now you can easily select all the runs independently of the pagination aspects, because the previous version had a limitation. You could just filter out or select the tests that were being shown in the current page. So you can now actually select all the test runs, or you can then select some in different pages, and we will keep the selection that you made. And one, talking a bit about that, is that you can then, for example, if you apply a filter in the test execution, sometimes whenever you have plenty of runs inside a test execution, you may have some of them assigned to one user, for example, or some in specific status, and you want to go into actual execution screen and navigate with the filtered information. And well, previously you couldn't do that, but now if you apply a filter in the test execution, you can actually navigate in the different runs that you filtered out in the test execution whenever you go into the execution screen. And also, whenever you are at the execution screen, you can also see the related test plan in case your test execution is related with some test plan. And this simple thing, it also facilitates navigation to the related test plan right from the execution screen. So let's have a look at it. I think it's always best to see this in practice, because sometimes speaking and not showing is not enough. So let's look at a concrete example, and let's start by looking here at this test execution. Okay, let's start with for example, the steps progress column. So you can now actually include that column here, and as you can see here, that column provides information for the related run. So it provides the steps progress for the manual test cases. So we have here that some that are still need to do. So this one is 100% complete, and we have some that, this one, for example, is I have just executed 2 steps out of 4, so it's 50% complete. Okay, the bulk operation, and as I've said, you can now do a bulk selection. Now the bulk action is also next to the selection, and this will be more easier for you to use, and we'll be showing you the total amount of runs, so that you can see here on the left side. And now if you navigate here between the pages, you can see that the selection proceeds even if you unselect some of them. If you go back into one page and then change back to the other page, you'll see that the selection is kept. Okay. And now let's say that I want, for example, to pick in this test execution that is all these tests, that I want to pick the ones that are assigned to myself. So I could pick here Sergio. Here we go. So I have here several runs assigned to myself. And now whenever I click on the execution details, I'll get a notification warning there telling me that I'm looking at the runs of this test execution that are currently filtered. So if I navigate between the test runs, I'll be navigating between the ones that are assigned to me. And you can see here also in the navigation bar that we now can jump into the test plan right from the execution page. Isn't this great, João?
Very good, very good.
Sometimes it seems to be simple things, but I think it makes your life easier. Right?
They were indeed very useful, I guess. Very small things, but I think they're very useful.
Okay, I think this topic is quite, in fact, one of the most interesting ones, which is a test run email notifications. So Xray reuses the notification mechanism provided by Jira. And I think this simplifies a lot of the management of test run notification. In other words, email notifications are triggered based on the configuration of notifications of events in the context of the notification scheme being used by the project. When Xray is installed, the following events that you can see here are also installed if they don't exist yet. So we install the test run assigned, the test run status set to final, and the precedent test run status set to final. I will exemplify this with a real use case in a few minutes. So, however, by default, when you install Xray, no notifications will be configured for those events upon installation. You'll need to have and therefore enable them explicitly. And since the test run is not an issue type, events are triggered for the related test execution. This means that the notification recipients fields are mostly related with the test execution. However, in some events, there can be some difference on the semantics of the fields. For example, for the test run assigned event, the current assignee corresponds to the assignee of the test run and not the assignee of the test execution issue. So usually notifications, and if you enable them using the quick setup shortcut that we provide, usually they are configured to be delivered to the current assignee, either the test run assignee or the test execution assignee, depending on the context. Nevertheless, it's possible to configure other stakeholders, such as the watchers, to be notified on the changes related with test runs. Time to show this with a real example. So let's see how this works. And I will try to show this, and let's see if all goes expected. So let me just share the configuration, and I will go into a sample project that I have here. So I'm looking at the project settings of a project, and well, you can see that this project is using the default notification scheme that is also shared by other 19 projects. So have that in mind whenever you are editing the notifications. You may also be impacting other projects if that notification scheme is being shared by other projects. So if I scroll a bit down, you can see that we now have these three events: the test run assigned, the test run start set to final, and the precedent test run start set to final. Okay, they are here, but as you can see, no one is going to be notified because I have not configured any notifications. Well, how can you actually add the stakeholders, the recipients of the notifications? So you can either edit the notification scheme, or there's a quick way that will set some defaults that you can do right from the summary page. So there's an action here to quickly enable test run notifications. And basically, if I open here the notifications, now you're going to see that they are configured to the current assignee. Okay, but as I've said, later on, if you want, you can change and add other recipients for these specific events. So if I add it in the notification scheme, you can actually add additional recipients to each one of these events, such as the project lead, whatever, or the watchers, so on. Okay. Have in mind, as I've said, that this works in the same way as you deal with the notifications in general inside Jira. So if that notification scheme is being shared by other projects, you are also affecting those projects. Okay, and this is because I think Xray is tightly coupled with the Jira concepts, right, João?
Completely.
Okay, so I will now try to go into a test execution and exemplify this with some real example. So I have this test execution here, okay, and well, I have here some runs. Let's just clear the filter out, okay. So I have this run, okay. So let's start by assigning the first run to that is assigned to the administrator. Let's start by assigning it to Sergio. Okay, and now let's pass it. So if I now go into the actual mail queue of Jira, I can see that 2 emails were triggered. I will just flush them out so they get sent, and if all was as expected, I should have the 2 emails coming to my mailbox, but in a few seconds. So I will proceed and I will show the mails afterwards. Okay, so remember that I assigned 1 to Sergio, and then I passed this specific run. Then sometimes that in this case, in fact, you would get 2 notifications: one for the related with the test run assigned event, and the other one related with the test status change to final, because I changed the test run to pass. So there's another event to talk a bit about, which is the precedent test run status has been set to final. So sometimes you have many runs, and some of them may be assigned to some users, and you may have other ones assigned to other users. And you may have some implicit orders. So imagine that you want the test to be executed exactly by the order that you have defined within the rank at the test execution. So Sergio has this specific run assigned to himself, wants to get notified as soon as the test run at the rank 4 that is assigned to the administrator gets run. So if I now execute this specific run, we'll see here in the mail queue that I'll get here some emails based triggered on that. Okay. So this is in fact as simple as that. In this case, in fact, 2 mails will be sent. One due to the precedent run as being set to final, and another one because I set this specific run to a final status. Okay, so let me just check if the mails arrived. It should be coming quite soon, so we can check this out afterwards. Okay, so they're currently in the mail queue of Jira, so you can see that they were triggered. That's the important thing. Okay, so this is one I think it would be quite useful to you guys, and I hope you really enjoy using the test run email notifications.
I hope it won't be too crowded in terms of emails.
Yeah. Sometimes, well, people get all sorts of notifications, and they simply they discard the emails that you may be receiving. But
in any case, it's a very useful feature.
Yeah. So this has to be used with common sense.
Yes.
Okay. So now I'll be talking a bit about TestNG, and Well, this is a long-awaited feature, and especially by Java teams that wanted the support for TestNG. TestNG is used by many Java teams since it's a framework that provides many useful features that JUnit 4, for example, wasn't able to deliver. And now you can submit results from TestNG tests and get visibility of them in Jira and in the related requirements. Similar to what is provided to other formats, we now also provide two REST API endpoints for TestNG, one related with one simple one just for submitting the results, and another one that gives you the ability to customize the test execution that is going to be created. We also provide a tutorial so you can see how it works with a real example, and I will now show you precisely that just to explain a bit about the features that we have for TestNG. So you can see here by this table that what you can do with TestNG is somehow similar to what you could already do with for the robot framework or for any unit that is common in the .NET framework. Okay, so let's have a look at a concrete example, and I will explain you how this works in practice. So in our documentation, you will find out a detailed explanation how this works, and we also have here a tutorial that will show you with some examples how also this works and the integration works with Xray. So in this example, I have a sample calculator class Java, a standard, a simple Java class that implements a calculator, and then I have an actual class that implements the tests that you can see here. So I even have here some of them, in this case this one, and this method actually is a parameterized test because it will exercise the same test with the different input values that will be obtained from this method. Well, the only thing that you have to do is this notation, and we allow you to also link the test cases whenever they are automatically created within Jira to requirements, as long as you set some attributes on using this interface, so you can actually link the test case to requirements. You can also enforce a link to some existing test case by using this specific attribute. And if you want, you can also add labels to the tests that will be created within Jira. But, well, actually we spent a bit more time. And if you guys really like to code, so you will know that TestNG has support for extensions, so you can actually enhance the capabilities of TestNG. So actually in this example, you will find out here some additional classes that you can copy and use and adapt to your own needs. But basically what they will do is give you the ability to use annotations like this, using the Xray annotation, in order to easily provide the links for the requirements, and also for the test case, and also for the labels that you may want to add to the test cases. And this, I think this will be more cleaner for you. And it's great because TestNG has these kind of capabilities. So this is something that the integration with Xray does not provide exactly by default, but if you can just copy here the classes that we use, and you can use also this mechanism to simplify the writing of your test cases. Right, John. I think this will make some huge difference for Java teams.
Yes, there were a lot of requests regarding TestNG, so it's something that we have been asked quite a lot, and it's cool that we have implemented it.
Yeah, in the end, whenever you import this to Jira, you'll get test case that will be also be identified by the class name and the class method that implements each one of the of the test. So if you have parameterized tests, you'll be also able to see the results for each one of the input values combination.
Very cool.
Okay, that's it for now for TestNG. So expect many things more to come in the end. I will now speaking a bit about other enhancements that we did concerning hierarchical improvements in the test repository, in the test plan board, and so actually in Xray 3.1 we improved several aspects, and you can see some of them here. So for example, whenever you move a test from one project to another one, actually we can also create the folder in the destination repository. Also, a similar thing with test plans. So, for example, if you clone a test plan, you will also get the cloning of the associated board structure. And this is something that actually we are unable to make on time for the 3.0 version, but we are now delivering it, and it was something that customers were thinking and demanding that because it's quite useful. And it makes all sense, right, John?
Indeed.
Yeah. And another thing, and this is also a bit concerned with usability aspects. So removing the test from either the test repository or from the test plan board is now simpler because you can easily simply drag them to the orphans meta folder. And sometimes you can also you may want to obtain the list of issues that you are seeing in some folder or the ones that you selected in the issue search page, because sometimes you may want to do bulk operations on them. So we now provide a contestable operation that allows you to view the issues in the issue search page. So let's try to see this, how this works, and I will show you, start by going here into the test repository and show you, for example, the ability to pick here one folder, one test case and drag it to the orphans meta folder. So before I would need to execute this move to orphans, now I can simply drag them around. So the contextual option for seeing the tests that are, for example, the ones that are related with this folder and all the subfolders can be easily achieved using these view issues. Okay, and this will in fact use the test repository folder tests, and I think that this way you can also learn the JQL functions, and then if you need to do other things, it will be easier for you.
Actually, we recommend quite a lot for users to go and have an approach at least with JQL, even though they're using of course, the test repository is something that complements very well your knowledge, not just about Jira, but also about Xray and the way to filter on your queries. So it is something that we tried in Xray to give more empowerment on that, for sure.
Yeah. So I will now show you, for example, this test case that is inside the core folder within the calculator project. I will just open it, and I will move it into another project. So let's do that. And if I move it to the other project, you'll see that it will live inside also the core folder inside the test repository of this project. Okay, so I think I still have one thing to talk about to exemplify. So let me go into the calculator project once again, because I want to show the cloning of the test plan. So, for example, I have this test plan with this board structure that you can see here. So let's clone the issue. And here we go. So this is the new issue. If I now open the test plan board, the structure is kept. Great. So once again, simple things, but that I think that will make the difference.
Organization is something very important for teams, and I think these kind of features make all the difference for sure. Especially now, since you're using now also the test repository as well as this test plan organization.
Yeah, sure. So one thing that we now also have the ability in Xray is we have the support for a new workflow in the terms of in the sense that you work with Cucumber tests. So until now, you had to use Jira and Xray as the master of information for Cucumber tests. In other words, the standard workflow would be that you started by writing the Cucumber scenarios in Xray, then you would export them by creating feature files in order to run them in the CI environment. Finally, you would submit back the results to Xray. However, some teams prefer to have and maintain their Cucumber tests in Git, for example, and they prefer to use some other tool or IDE for editing the scenarios. We understand that currently the editor that Xray provides has some limitations, although we will hopefully overcome them in the next release by having support for autocomplete, which I think will be great for teams using BDD with Cucumber. Meanwhile, and if you prefer, you may now edit your test cases elsewhere, commit them to Git, for example, and then sync them to Xray. Whenever they're submitted to Jira, Xray will find the appropriate test cases and will update them. And this is now possible because we ensure that the REST API for submitting the Cucumber features is idempotent. In other words, if you submit multiple times a bunch of feature files, then you will always get the same test cases in Jira without duplication. So you just need to follow a convention. So, and the convention works as in the following way. So for each feature file, you must have a unique tag to each scenario or to each scenario outline within it. And this tag should be named as ID followed by a number. For example, such ID 2.1, ID 2.2. And Xray will use this special tag along with the name and the path of the corresponding feature file in order to find the appropriate test in Xray. So as long as you use your unique ID tags and you don't change the name of the features files, then you will always be they will always be mapped to the correct entities in Xray. So in this example, you can see here the tags and these ID tags right before each scenario. So you have just to make sure that they are unique within each feature file. And as soon as you import them, you'll get these IDs and the name of the feature file, of the original feature file in the labels. And this is how it works, in fact. It is also possible to enforce that a specific scenario is mapped to some existing test issue by using the test tag followed by the key of the test issue. Therefore, and if you don't have your scenarios tagged with test keys, if you change the name of or path of a feature file, please make sure that you update the existing entities in Jira, or you may get new test cases. Note that as a last resource and in order to avoid duplicates, Xray will try to find out the tests also by their summary. Okay, so let's try to see this with a simple demo, João. I think this is a way to properly show this.
It's the better way.
Yeah. So I will now show you a sample feature file that I have. And in this feature file, you can see here that it's composed of a background. It has one scenario outline and one scenario. And well, the first one is tagged with ID 1, the second one with ID 2, and the name of the feature is named sample.feature. So whenever I import this into Xray, you'll get the test cases in Jira and Xray accordingly. So let me jump into Xray so you can actually see them and see how they will look like. So here we go. This corresponds to the scenario outline. You have the labels corresponding to the ID and also the name of the feature file. So now let's do one thing. So you can see here the final step, then the result should be output on the screen. Now let's come into our feature file and let's edit this Cucumber scenario outline and sync it back to Xray using the REST API. So let's add here, well, let's put here some my amazing screen. Okay, let's save it. And now let's import it once again. So if I now go into Jira, if I refresh it, here it is updated accordingly. Okay, so this is great because you can manage, if you prefer, you can edit the features elsewhere and then be sure they will be mapped in a unique way to Xray. Okay, so we will also be improving our add-ons for Jenkins, Bamboo, and also Maven for easily allowing you to submit the feature files. For now, you can basically submit them either by submitting them one by one, but you can also make a zip file with the feature files that you want, and then Xray will process it accordingly. Okay, so let's talk a bit about the REST API. So one thing that we addressed in the 3.1 version, basically we had the endpoints related with the test repository. So you can now actually obtain the structure of the test repository by using this endpoint. And you can also obtain the tests within the test repository, either the ones that are direct childs or all the descendants by passing a specific parameter. We also provide CRUD operations related with the folders, so you can easily create, update, and delete folders by using the endpoints. You can also do other kinds of things. In this case, not related with the test repository, but we also address other kinds of things. So as I mentioned, we added the endpoints related with the test ng, and you can also obtain the preconditions associated with the test case by using this endpoint. Okay, time for goodies, João. Sweet goodies.
Goodies.
Yeah. Okay. So other things that we addressed in the 3.1 version, and the first one you already saw, which is the traceability report. You can actually see the requirement hierarchy up to 2 levels. So that's what currently we support. So if you have, for example, epics and user stories, you can see them directly in the report. And we now also provide the built-in capability to export the report to CSV. And in the test run summary gadget, you can now also group the test runs by the executed by fielder from the test run, and also by any field that you may have in the test. So let me try to show you how this looks like. So in the traceability report, as I said, you can see this hierarchical information. And well, you can also close it if you want. So if you have, for example, epics and user stories being handled as requirements, and if you have configured the epic story relation as a parent and sub-requirement relation, you will see this kind of information. And as I said in the test runs summary gadget, you can now group by, for example, the test type or by the executed by. So you have now many more grouping capabilities that you may use in order to see the runs grouped by the whatever information may be relevant to you. Okay, but we also enhanced it, and this is a small enhancement, but we also did enhance the test plan tests in order to filter out all the tests related with a set of test plans provided by some given filter. And finally, and I have to show this, so the test case importer, which was available only for the Jira administrators, it's now also available for standard users. So the only condition here is that the users should be able to create issues and do bulk changes in order to use the test case importer. And the test case importer can now also have the ability to create folders whenever you import the test cases. So you don't need to create the folders beforehand. You can actually create during the import process. So let's see how this looks like. You can see here the test case importer within the test menu, test case importer. Here we go. So I'll pick a CSV file. Let's pick this one. And here I now have the ability to create the folders during the import process. And let me just use a configuration file in order to be quicker. So I will show you briefly the contents of the CSV file. So the CS file contains several test cases, and well, you have some of the test cases assigned to some specific folders. So if the folders don't exist, they will be created. So let's just follow the process. Okay. I'll import to this project. So the only thing that you have to take care is that you select the create folders option in the first step of the wizard, and then during the mapping process you have to map the column that contains the path of the folder into the test repository path custom field. Let's do it like that. So in the end, it will create the test cases. So let me just open here one. Here we go. This one will go into the weird folder. It's a good name. Okay, I really hope you make use of this in order, and this facilitates a migration of test cases from other tools. We will be improving the test case importer for sure in upcoming releases in order to facilitate it even further. Yeah, but there's not, I think there's more about goodies, right, John? So finally, there are other goodies, and I think the first one will be mostly useful for teams that are using another language that is not English. So as you know, Xray uses the test link type in order to relate tests and requirements, and until now it would have to be exactly that. It needed to have that name, and the outward and the inward descriptions need to be tested and tested by. But now you can actually, after you install Xray, you can actually edit this link type, and you can actually change the name and the outward and then inward descriptions. So as I've said, related with test runs, we provide two additional settings. The first one gives you the ability to restrict the users based on the group that they belong to, that can use the quick setup for enable Xray notifications in the project settings page. Because as I've said, whenever you have notifications or disable notifications in the context of some project, you will be affecting, in fact, the notification scheme used by that project. And sometimes that notification scheme may be also used by other projects, so you may want to restrict this operation. And concerning with the events, with the test run status set to final and the preceding test run status set to final, so these events will only be triggered, in fact, the notifications for these events will only be triggered if you change the test runs to this specific status. And this is because sometimes you may want to have some specific status that you don't want to actually trigger notifications. So if you want to have such a configuration, you can do so. Whenever you install Xray, the final test run status that may trigger notifications, this setting will be filled out with all the final status that you have in Xray for the test runs. Okay, now time to give the mic to you, João. I have to drink some water.
Thank you very much, Sergio. Actually, before we dive into the Q&A session, as promised, we just have 3 minutes, but we'll try to make it as quick as possible. Of course, we would like also to present you some additional resources besides these ones that Xray that Sergio pointed out. Of course, very important for us and for you should be our main guidance point will be our documentation. We'll try to make it up, okay, so updated as possible. And of course, these features are already detailed there, and most of the information that Sergio promoted to you today will be there or is already there. So please just take a look if you never went to our documentation. It's a great place, a lot of information, and for sure you will save a lot of time while configuring, while understanding or trying to understand Xray concepts. Always is good to go over our blogs, okay? So, and not just Xray's website, but also our blog. We have posted a lot of tutorials, a lot of very interesting information, not just Xray related, but related with this software testing subject, which is, I think, the main reason why we are all here today. And I think these topics, we try to go over interesting topics for you. It's always a good place to follow and get some interesting articles. We promise not to be too technical, but we also promise not to be too some kind of a marketing way for us to sell our products. It's more like an information place. Of course, the latest news and the way for us to update you with our latest news is always our Expanded On's Twitter. So you will see also our latest information there. Of course, our Facebook it has updated, but I think Twitter is the place where you can get the latest information there. If you need to try out Xray or Exporter and you're not able to install it in your own environment, you can always use our sandbox. You can just create an account there and you are able to use it. Just have in mind that every Sunday the information gets erased, so just have that in mind. Besides that, you are free to use it. Try out Xray, try out as much as you can and get to know the tool even before you initiate your trial. So with this said, I think we still have at least 2-3 minutes for the Q&A session. I guess we can go over some of the questions here.
Yeah, I can actually start answering some of them. If you want, you can also leave some questions, and even if I don't answer right now,
just to make a note, yes, just to make a note,
we will answer all of them afterwards.
Everything, yes. Answer everything.
Okay, so one question is, can we interact with the coverage gadget? We can now do with the coverage report. So for now, actually in the coverage gadget, you cannot actually drill down on the tests. You can only click on the amount of requirements that are in certain status. This version is already available. That's another question that we have here. There's a question related if you can import the test plans or test executions with the import feature. Well, for imported test plans and test executions, it's possible to do so using the REST API. Currently, the test case importer is only for importing test issues. But if you have a look at our documentation in the REST API, you can see that you can create these entities and with information that you may want to. Another question is, can I select multiple tests in drag and drop? Sure, you can select as many tests as you want. So you can either use the control or the command, depending if you're using Windows or Mac, to do multi-selection. Another question is, can the test plan, precondition, and test sets be added to folders? So no, this was a decision that we took by design. And the tests, I think that our decision is it's more simple in the sense that the test repository or the test plan board is only for managing tests. So the information that you have is related with the tests.
So I think that's it. No, one more,
John. One concerning automating, if there is a plan to have an automated link on requirements for JUnit. Yes, so we have in our roadmap the support for JUnit 5. It will be added soon, I would say. And in fact, we weren't able to make that for the JUnit 4 because JUnit 4 didn't allow us to do so. So we are pending on JUnit 5 being released. So it was released last year. And now we'll be analyzing it, and we'll be also adding all the kind of support that we have for TestNG and also for NUnit and also for Robot Framework, also for JUnit.
There's a lot of questions, so you just bombarded us with questions. As I said in the beginning, we don't have time to go more into specific questions now. We will try to send you an email with all the questions, with all the answers, and you'll get your answer. You get your answer to your question. Okay. So from us, we are already 3 minutes late. Okay, in terms of time, it was really a pleasure. I hope you got excited with these new features that Xray introduced. So the version is already available. One of the questions was actually related to pricing. No, the price was not updated, even though there are cool features going on. So the pricing is still the same. And for sure, we hope to hear from you. As I said also in the beginning, most of these features were introduced because you gave us this tip, and it's always very important for us to have this collaboration, some sort of collaboration with our customers, and for us to build, of course, a better solution, more powerful, and of course, in the end, more useful to your tests. Okay, so thank you very much, Sergio, for your time. It was really a pleasure. Hope to see you soon. Just to give you a note, actually, of our next webinar. So our next webinar will be a product walkthrough webinar already on the 18th. Okay, so go to our website. You can see the webinars there. Invite any of your team members that would like to join us there. And we will have also another add-on, the 3.1, another add-on for the 3.1 version already on 2nd of May. Okay, if you have already, or if you have any colleague that was not able to join us today because it was crazy. Actually, we released the webinar, and in 2 days the places were all taken. So I assume there's still a lot of people that would like to check the webinar. You have another option for the 2nd of May. Please go to our website, share it there, and it will be a pleasure for us to have you there. As it was a pleasure for us to have you today with us, we hope that you enjoyed. We hope that this will bring some new features to your workflow while using Xray. And for sure, have a nice day, have a nice week, and As always, happy testing.
Happy testing. Thank
Bye-bye,
you.
guys.